We're looking at the insane come up of the Seattle Seahawks. No one expected them to do good this year, and they fought their way to 9-8 and made it into the playoffs. Now everybody knows where I'm going to start this video. It was one of the biggest topics about last offseason. It's when the Denver Broncos traded for the big Subway boy. Now, to me, this trade made sense. In 2020, the Seahawks went 12-4, won the division, but then choked in the playoffs against the Rams. Russell Wilson in that game went 11 for 27, only 174 yards, an interception. The game wasn't good. And then in 2021, the Seahawks went 7-10, missed the playoffs, losing record. The Seahawks management had to look, is Russell Wilson worth the keep? He's expensive, but we don't have the defense we used to have. We don't have the offense we used to have. There's no Legion of Boom with Russell Wilson. Do we think we need to rebuild, or should we try to keep Russell Wilson and try to keep going for another Super Bowl? They made the right decision, and they traded him to the Denver Broncos. And the Broncos coughed up a fat load for Russell Wilson of $250 million over 5 years. Now we all know the story. The Broncos shit the bed this year. They had a great defense, one of the best in the league, but Russell Wilson and the offense wasn't it. They still have next year, first year in a new team. Maybe that was the reason why. Maybe next year Russell Wilson will be able to redeem himself. We will see, but that's not the topic of this video. We're looking at the Seahawks. For Russell Wilson, the Seahawks acquired Drew Lock, Shelby Harris, Noah Fant, and they received 5 draft picks. 2 first-rounders and 2 second-rounders, each of one in 2022 and 2023. Now last year, the Seahawks had a pretty good draft year. First round, 9th overall, they selected Charles Cross, offensive tackle from Mississippi State, and he ended up having a great rookie season. He was a solid blocker for Geno Smith and Kenneth Walker, didn't let in that many sacks, obviously has still room to improve, but as a rookie, he was a great addition to the Seattle offense. Now the Seahawks' second pick of the draft, Boye Mafe, linebacker from Minnesota. He is crazy. Mafe only started 3 games this season, but he's a rookie. He still has a lot of time to grow and a lot of room to improve, and just his statistics just show he has a lot of potential. He had 3 sacks this season. He only started 3 games, so he was getting there, but he's 6'4", 265 pounds, and has a 4.53 40. That's crazy. This guy's a tall, massive speed demon. Not to mention his wingspan is nearly 7 feet. I cannot wait to watch this guy play next year. I'm expecting a lot from him. I want to see him take down interceptions, take down sacks. I think he's a lot of potential. The last pick we'll look at, the pick right after Mafe, second round, pick number 41. The Seahawks selected Kenneth Walker from MSU. Now, along with me being a diehard Lions fan, I'm also a diehard Spartans fan. I loved going to watch Kenneth Walker play. He's the only reason Michigan State dominated Michigan. I'm a huge Kenneth Walker fan. When I saw Kenneth Walker was drafted to the Seahawks, I was pretty excited because I like the Seahawks. They're one of my more favorite teams in the league. They're not like I'm not like a diehard Seahawks fan or anything. I'm only purely Lions, but I like the Seahawks more than a lot of other teams, and I also really enjoy their colors. And I felt like Walker really reminded me of Marshawn Lynch, and I'm sure now he does to a ton of people, the way he just plows through people. But let's get into Kenneth Walker. He had an insane season.
Get comfortable. He was a little jittery today, and because he's so excited and he's so competitive. He just needs the time out there. You know, he just hasn't played very much, and so we're just going to keep forcing him to get really relaxed and comfortable out there, and he's going to make a lot of things happen. He showed plenty of good stuff today. We could all see that, but he went the wrong way on play. You know, and he had some other things that he could be cleaner on. So it's just getting him over the hump, and he's going to be a big factor.
Pete Carroll said that after week 3. I think he's a good coach for Kenneth Walker. I think he's a great coach. It was crazy how he led the 7-10 team to now a winning record back in the playoffs. Obviously, it wasn't all him, but the coach is a big part in that, and he's had, like, I think 9 of his 12 seasons have been winning seasons. He's been a great coach. Besides when they had Subway Boy throw it at the one instead of Skittles running it. But, you know, besides that, he's been great. But in week 5, Rashad Penny got hurt, and Walker got the start from week 6 for the rest of the season, and he was a beast all season. He put up crazy numbers. I wish he would have got the start like week 1. I feel like he was ready to go from week 1. I feel like he could have put up these numbers all season long and got to the Pro Bowl, maybe talk at least to Rookie of the Year. I feel like he could have been a lot better, but I do understand you don't want to start him right away, I guess. But I really feel like Walker was ready week 1. Maybe it's just my opinion or just some Spartan bias wanting him to start week 1, which I don't give up my opinion on this channel if you don't know. I would have liked to see him start week 1. I understand their decision though. Just in this clip here, whenever Kenneth Walker would score a crazy touchdown, Pete Carroll was always just so hype on the sidelines, and I just love to see that. It was always exciting. This season though for Walker, only 11 starts. He put up 1,050 yards on only 228 rushes. He had 9 touchdowns, averaged 4.6 yards a carry. He also had 27 receptions for another 165 yards. He was just a beast, all around machine. And go look up some of his highlights. There's like plays where he would just plow through like 3 players. Like it's what he did at Michigan State. Just plow his way to the end zone and score like 4 touchdowns a game. He's not scoring 4 touchdowns a game against for Seattle, but he's having huge runs. Next up, we got Geno Smith. Everyone knows Geno Smith came out of nowhere this season to come off the bench and start every game this season and play how he did and lead his team to the playoffs. It's absolutely crazy. There was talk of Geno Smith being MVP this season. Obviously, those talks faded out, but still to have yourself in the conversation at a certain point, that's crazy. And he also helped out Walker as he rushed a little bit this season. He had 366 yards rushing, 21.5 per game, which isn't crazy, but he showed that he was able to pick up first downs on his leg. Now, the biggest thing about Geno Smith, he threw for 4,282 yards and completed 70% of his passes. He had 30 touchdowns, only 11 interceptions, which is great. All around amazing. 4,200 yards, nearly 4,300 yards coming off the bench. Wow, really exciting and impressive season from Geno Smith. He also made the Pro Bowl, his first one. That was exciting as well. Now, he did take 46 sacks this season, 2.7 per game, which isn't the best. That would be something to work on, especially with the offensive line getting improved. I mean, the Seattle Seahawks weren't supposed to be in this conversation of potentially trying to get to another Super Bowl or NFC Championship. They were supposed to only be talking about like rebuild. This wasn't supposed to be a good season, and they came out of nowhere and they did this. So they're really looking good as they're just going to continue to rebuild and just build around Geno Smith, Kenneth Walker, and again, I'll get to next, build up their defense. Now, before I get to the defense, I want to talk about the Seahawks making it to the playoffs real quick. First off, it was an insane accomplishment for the Seahawks to even make the playoffs. Sure, they made it in with the Lions' help. Fuck the Pack. And I'm obviously mad salty that Baker Mayfield threw the game against the Seahawks, as I feel like the Seahawks didn't really play that well in that game. They should have really, I feel like, destroyed the Rams, but you know, I'm going to leave my bias out because I don't give my opinion on this channel, and it's all in the past. I'm not actually salty though, because I felt like the Lions and the Seahawks were in the same position. They weren't supposed to be good. They're both rebuilding, and they both had a chance, and one of them made it into the playoffs, which is just that is an accomplishment in my opinion. I do feel like at the end of the season, the Lions were the better candidate to get into the playoffs. I feel like they're the better team. At the beginning of the season, Seahawks definitely are the better team. At the end, I feel like the Lions grew a lot, and they were definitely the better team at the end of the season. But I bet we can agree on one thing, Seahawks fans: fuck the Pack. And it's a good thing I don't give my opinion on this channel, because someone talking about the NFL all the time, it'd be pretty embarrassing if they're just always giving out their opinion and always saying their team's the best team, blah, blah, blah. I would want to turn off that YouTube video right away. Now, in the playoffs, the 49ers were down to the Seahawks at halftime, which is insane. For the Seahawks to go into San Fran and take the lead at half was crazy. Now, the Seahawks offense wasn't as good and the defense wasn't as good in the second half, and they lost by a decent amount, but I feel like leading at half was an accomplishment. The 49ers have the best defense in the league, so no one was expecting the Seahawks to even have a chance in this game when they were leading at halftime. I was extremely surprised, and it was pretty exciting. Now, in my opinion, which I don't give out, I feel like there's certain circumstances in the playoffs where it's okay if teams lose. Like the Seahawks here, no one was expecting them to win, and I thought it was okay if they lost. Now, I'm not saying that they should go into this game thinking, who cares, it's okay if we lose, but they're going to have other chances in the future because their team's going to continue to improve with future draft picks, and their team's young. But for teams like the Vikings this year, or the Cowboys, or the Chargers, it's really rough when they lose in the playoffs, because playoff chances, there's not that many of them. You're not going to have as many as you think you would, especially like AFC Championship games or NFC Championship games. If you get to one of those and lose, it's going to really suck, because that might be the last time your team gets there for a while. So those chances when teams lose in the playoffs, I feel like those are really bad. But chances like these where the Seahawks lost, they snuck in, they're a young team, they're supposed to be rebuilding, I feel like that is totally okay for them to lose. And the last thing about the Seahawks offense, they still have a really strong wide receiver core. They have Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, then K. Johnson. They have a strong core. I feel like they're deep in depth of wide receivers that can go out and make plays, and I feel like their offense is pretty solid. This guy improved that offensive line, continue to grow their young talent, and improve that defense, and they will be a solid team, maybe Super Bowl contenders in the next few years. Now the Seahawks, they were 25th in the league for points per game allowed. Now for their upcoming draft, they should really be looking at defense, and purely just defense, especially in their first 2 picks. Now for the 2023 draft, the Seahawks have the number 5 pick. It's an L that the Broncos decided to win their last game because they could have had the 3rd overall pick, but the 5th is just as good. Now they won't be able to draft a quarterback, but I don't think they should look at quarterbacks. I think they should just look at defense, especially now that they have the 5th pick. What quarterback are they going to pick at number 5? And the Seahawks also have the 20th pick in the draft. So with the 5th and the 20th, I think both those slots should be filled with defensive players for the Seahawks. And coming off of 2021's draft, having one of the best drafts in the league, along with the Lions, just had to mention my Lions there, I really think that the Seahawks are in good shape of having another successful draft, improving their defense, and being good playoff contenders next year. I'm really excited to see what the Seahawks bring next year, and that is going to be the end of this video. If you guys enjoy my content, I would really appreciate if you could like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot, and once again, thanks for watching. More Seahawks content coming soon.